It's another wonderful day, and we have with us today a wonderful person, a man who has distinguished himself with the attributes of godliness, excellence, and leadership. Permit me to use those words. Yeah.
Yeah, that expression has been copyrighted.
Ah, all right, that's fine. He's allowed. He's allowed in this instance. A very
Okay.
good friend of mine, a statistician, okay, but a man who has gone beyond just credentials and has developed his skills in impacting his world at a time as this. Is by name Oladipupo Ojemola. So nice to have you, bro. Thank you very much for coming around. Mm.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I'm privileged to be on this interview.
Mm,
Cast. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Greetings to everyone listening to me.
that's fine. Yeah, just to catch up, let's get to meet you a little. All right, just a brief.
Okay. Just as mentioned, I am Oladipupo Jemola. All right. I'm a statistician, a
Mhm.
data analyst.
Beautiful,
All right. Yeah. In my mid 30s.
beautiful,
Uh, yeah. I'm married to my wife.
interesting.
Yeah. With wonderful children to the glory of God. All
Mm,
right. So that's about my personal, myself, my family, my career.
mm,
Okay. And let me say I'm a Christian and by the grace of God, the current president of the Osun Baptist Youth Conference. Yeah.
beautiful,
So
beautiful.
that's Oladipo Jemola all around.
That's a very good one. And I know why I'm really excited tonight because most of our audience who are going to listen to these are also youths. And I'm convinced that they are going to gain one or two things from our line of discussion tonight. No doubt,
Awesome.
uh, unemployment these days has been on the increase. The rate at which people are still advocating for university education is still also on the increase. However, the job market every day is not receiving the commensurate people or that are needed for the job. And that's why today we'll talk briefly on beyond credentials, cultivating greatness through skillful practices, beyond credentials. Growing up, I remember that in our own days, it's either you are a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Right, but I
Exactly.
think many of those things are changing these days. Uh,
Yeah.
to start our conversations, permit me to allow you tell us what do you understand or what will you define as skillful practices or skillful practice?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very excited about this line of thought and this talk. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm really excited about this line of thoughts and discourse
Mm,
tonight concerning skills and skillful practices. As it's well, my understanding about skills and skillful practices is simply as regards anything that anyone has in themselves, all right, that is innate,
mm,
although it could be learned, it could be innate, it could be learned, anything of interest. All right. You see there are there are a number of footballers as it were, but
mhm,
then there are thousands of footballers. Using an example of the Premier League, for instance. All right, let me just be general. There are thousands of footballers, but then you see Ronaldo, you see Messi,
mm,
and you see many other footballers like themselves. Now, virtually all of these footballers, a large percentage of them, have the skill of
mm,
playing soccer or playing football, as the case may be. All right. So that is skill. That is skill. All right, that thing that they had in themselves. Now, skillful practice, now it encompass the area or the aspect of you now activating that ability in yourself. Now, the fact that this Ronaldo is skillful or Messi is skillful or any other footballer is skillful, you see them going to going for training as
Mm,
often as possible. You see
mm-hmm,
them going to the gym,
mm-hmm,
all right, to keep fit,
mm-hmm,
to keep fit. So now those are skillful practices or habits that you have to imbibe and
mm,
you have to be holistic about to
mm,
ensure that any gifting, any ability, any interest that is innate or in you, all right, can be sustained
mm.
over time.
Wow, thank you very much. Now, does everybody has one a skill?
Apparently, apparently,
Mm,
everybody has one thing in themselves, at least one thing in themselves.
mm.
Everybody does have that. But aside that, one could choose to also learn
Beautiful.
skills. All right. So it could be innate and it could be as a matter of interest.
Mm,
All right. So either ways, there has to still be this the practice, what we are now referring to as the skillful practice, but the skill on itself, it could be innate, and most times it could also be of interest. So if it is of interest, then we will have the individual or the person having to go learn,
mm.
yeah, or tutored around that. So just like the example of the football skill I
Yes.
used, you understand. Um, someone can be trained, and so most of the footballers had it in themselves,
Mm,
in it, but there is a need for training. There is
mm,
a need for a coach to say, oh, no, you keep your speed, you do this, you measure the distance before you charge and all those things.
mm,
So there is the ability within, there is
mhm,
the interest within, and
mm,
then there is the training
mm.
that complements it.
All right. Thank you very much. Is it possible that I have a skill and I'm not aware about that? I'm not aware of it.
Ah, that could be a yes, and it could be a no.
All right.
A yes, a yes in the sense that
Mm,
every human is evolving.
beautiful.
All right. It's possible that I have a skill, but because there's not been anything to tear it out of me,
Mm,
probably as a function of the environment, as a function of exposure.
okay.
All right. The person might not have an idea that, oh, I could do this seamlessly.
Mm,
Okay, so it is possible. And
okay.
at the same time, and at the same time, um, it might not be really possible to not know that you can do this. But the function, the variable that makes this a yes or a no, it's every other external variables like the environment, like the environment, like the I made mention of something exposure.
Mm,
Now, I'm sorry, I'm a teacher and
that's fine. That's fine.
this
I've
as a
been
data
trying to tell
person.
myself that I've been hearing the word variable function. That's statistics. Mhm.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me use an example. Recently in the news, we all heard about this chess master who just broke the longest hours of playing chess by
Yes.
the news in the past few days. Now, he went into the slum,
Mm,
all right, to pick boys and girls
mm,
who are working, 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 who are whiling away in the slums, and he trained them, or he's training them, all right, to play chess. Now,
mm,
playing chess, now this skill, one of the key, you understand? Oh, I could think, think critically, such that I can excel. So that's possible. You can think critically, and if you can think critically and strategically, you can do this. You can be a master in this. So
mm,
that's what I mean by the possibility of having a skill and not know.
mm.
It's very possible.
All right, thank you. In this society we find ourselves, no doubt, we promote credentials more than skills. What do you think could be the contributing factors to this?
Oh well, I could say you said in a society we find
Yes, in the
ourselves, and
society we find that.
I would say that actually the truth of the matter is that that is changing
Mm,
as it were, and I want to assume that that's one of the things that inform this line of discourse. All right. I could say categorically that in the past decade or the last 2 decades, it is basically about the certificate you carry.
yes.
All right. It's that is what it is about.
Mm,
All right. And probably because of um the economy of the time. Today I can tell you categorically that it's not basically about the certificates you carry. For
mm,
instance, you could go to the banking hall and you see the guys, in fact, most of the top bankers, I'm not even referring to the cashiers,
yes.
the real bankers, the real bankers are not the one who count the money. All
Yes.
right, they are the ones who do the paperwork. Most of them did not study anything related to accounting or banking in the university.
Mm,
Someone who studied chemistry. Okay, so someone who studied chemistry or biochemistry, for instance,
mm,
could be, and that's the fact, if you check the academic qualifications of most top bankers, when they read their bio, all
mm,
right, you find out that most of them did not study accounting or anything related to banking.
mm,
They studied probably management courses or even pure sciences, and
mm,
they are top bankers.
mm.
What is the clue? The clue is that they have something beyond the certificate that they do carry.
That's fine.
That thing could be their critical thinking ability.
Mm,
So that could be what brought them into the banking hall,
mm,
and not necessarily a BSc in accounting or a BSc in banking and finance.
mm.
Today, you see someone who studied engineering. In fact, there's a particular guy here in Nigeria.
Mm,
I'm talking about some 6, 7 years ago,
mm.
who was working. He studied engineering, an engineering course from Federal University of Technology, Akure,
Okay.
and he got a job post youth service corps. Got a job in a company in Lagos.
Okay.
And on the job, his boss was always requesting that he do tasks on Excel.
Okay.
Meanwhile, he does not know much of Excel.
Mm,
So he started training, he started getting some training himself, probably using every resource that is available.
mm,
and it will probably watch videos on YouTube or other um, hands-on tutorials
mm.
to solve that task. Eventually, he noticed that, oh, this task that my organization needs to be executed on Excel. Every similar organizations have the same
Issue.
tasks
Change.
and
Mm.
they need to get them done. All
Wow.
right. So, and that was how he resigned
Wow.
and started a consulting firm.
Mm,
Doing the same, he was consulting for as many organizations he could pitch. Doing the same thing he was doing as an employee in his former organization.
mm.
All right. And before you know it, in another 3 years, he already had about 6 staff.
Wow.
And his ROI on a monthly basis is about 7 figures.
Wow. Wow.
And these are not, this is a privileged information I'm sharing.
Yes.
Now, my point is that these guys studied engineering.
Yes.
Eventually, he became a certified, there is this certification that IBM gives. He became a big time consultant of
Mm,
sheets, Excel sheets. All right,
mm,
any tasks, any projects, any data, whatever you want to do, is the go-to guy. He had his own company, but he did not study that in school.
mm, mm,
So my point is that you in the current work environment, you see that skills are more of much concern
mm,
to employers, even beyond um, the the certificates.
mm.
There are possible references to what could be the cost of this. For instance, over time, like I said, 2 decades ago, it was certificates over skills.
Yes.
It was certificate, yeah. But in the current day work environment, I can tell you categorically that if you have a third class, we will not really encouraging a third class. But if you
Yes.
have a third class
Mhm.
and you have every other skill that the employer needs,
Mm,
both the soft skills, both the human relation skills,
mm.
both the every other skill that the job desires, the employer will prefer to train the employee, all right, as long as he has every other skills
That's fine.
and and get the job. The 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 first class graduate who does not have up to par human relation skills, for
Mm,
instance, will lose out.
mm.
You understand?
I
So
get
so
you.
what will make the first class graduate have a better pedestal to stand, all right, or to compete is not just the 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 academic certificate now,
Mm,
but having a good academic certificate now complemented with the key skills that the job demands.
mm. Wow. Thank you very much for shedding light on that. This is really nice. So, how can an individual shift their focus now from just acquiring credentials to cultivating greatness through intentional and skillful practice?
Okay, so how an individual can, sorry, please, can you please,
Yes.
do you mind to take that
Yes.
again?
Yes. I was just trying to say that now we have helped us to establish the basements that beyond credentials, skills is very important.
Yeah.
So how can someone shift their focus from just acquiring credentials to cultivating greatness through intentional and skillful practice?
Intention,
Yes.
and intentional practice.
Yes.
Intention. All right. I would like to continue using the example of some of the top football stars.
That's fine.
All right. So let's assume
By the way, do you
that
support do you support any football club?
and don't let me. My football club is not impressive currently, so
Interesting.
you can make your guess. All right, so I will
As
prefer not to
Manchester
give the
United.
name. So we are on hibernation currently.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, so the best way to support for someone who knows that um it's not just about the
Certificate.
academic credential, academic certificates,
Mm,
but also um complement I mean something being complemented with
mm,
skillful practice. The best way to achieve greatness with this is, like I mentioned the other time, is to be intentional.
mm,
All right, to be intentional. I want to establish the fact here that in no way are we relegating the importance of
yeah,
academic certificates.
that's fine.
The first thing that open doors.
That's fine.
All right, but the fact is that after the door is opened,
Mm,
what what will cement the opportunity, what will make the opportunity to stick and to be sustained
mm,
is, or are the skills that the individual has.
that's fine.
All right, so I need to make mention of that fact that we're talking about skill and skillful practice on the path of greatness. We are in no way. Okay,
Yeah.
so in essence, I said to be intentional. So if I know I want to achieve greatness,
Mm,
and I need to have a habit of practice, then the next thing for me is to be intentional about each of these practices. I was
mm,
going to use the example of a footballer who will be on top of the world will
mm,
be intention about being
mm,
in training sessions and in training sessions on time. You understand? In training sessions on time, he will be intentional about his diet.
mm,
You understand? Because that's what will keep that's the path to greatness.
that's fine.
He'll be intentional about even his weight,
Mm,
his or her weight. All right. For that's in the part of for in the part of a footballer. Let's say um in the part of what other example let's say a tech person now, for instance.
yeah.
Okay, so that it won't be as if we are only talking about football. Okay.
Let's
Now
go
it
on.
will be the individual will need to be intentional about being up to date with the new softwares or updates that are in town and in the market.
That's fine.
You understand? You are a web developer. You have the interest in developing things, probably UI UX, for instance, now, and then the person you want to be on the path of greatness of skillful practices. You have to always be um at work.
Mm,
Now,
okay.
I was speaking with a younger one earlier today who told me, oh, I learned databases, I learned SQL and all that. And that was a year ago since he watched SQL.
Mm,
I mean, you can't achieve greatness along that path. It
mm,
has to be because even if there's no project, you should give yourself refresher projects
that's fine.
from time to
Mm,
such that when a project comes around, you
mm,
are at par of helping to achieve the goals.
mm,
So it's not until so it's been intentional that, oh, I want to achieve this. I want to achieve greatness in this. And
mm,
so I have to develop myself. I have to watch whatever needs to be watched. If someone is a human resource manager, for instance, there are trainings, there are courses on a day-to-day basis
mm,
that the person can invest in, all right, to develop the skill of human relations in such a way as to make the work environment where the person is working, all right, the best that will ever be.
mm, mm, mm.
Thank you, sir.
But I think that one of the problems that we have is that sometimes it's difficult to identify maybe an area of growth. Do you see that as a challenge, especially when it comes to skillful practice, identifying area of growth? Like
Well, if there is no measure, if there is no if there is no measure over time, that's only when it will be hard to identify area of growth. But if I have um consistent or periodical um evaluation of myself, then and also possibly tax people around me
mm,
to evaluate me on this path.
mm,
That's one way, a that's a hack, all right, to be able to identify area of growth
mm,
or otherwise. So that in essence, I'm saying that it's easy to identify area of growth, all right, on this path when there is a periodical evaluation of yourself,
mm,
both by yourself and possibly by partners, as
mm.
the case.
All right. So thank you very much, sir. So I think I would like to ask, how can an individual learn and embrace the process of skillful practice? I know you've been touching down on some of them, but I would like you to just spend some more time on this. Uh,
Okay. So how an individual can embrace the process?
yes,
First of all, um, there has to be the interest.
interest.
Yeah, because without the interest, it will it will just be a waste of resources, of
Mm,
time, and whatever else, all right, that will be exhausted in that process. So
mm,
if I'm interested, for instance, um, while I was much younger,
mm.
my mother got a trainer for me.
Okay.
I should not be saying this to the world. All right, my mother got a trainer for me every Sunday after church service. Uh, Possibly you might even see this and they will agree with me. My mother bought small wood for me
Hmm.
and she got a trainer for me to teach how to play the keyboard,
Keyword.
the organ at that time. All right. Now I just didn't get it. I still have the small wood and all those music notes. They are still with me. All right, Smooth is a keyboard training manual. I'm sure you
Yes,
know that, but I should
yes,
just
yes.
explain that for those who are not along that line.
That's,
Now, the point is that it's not like I can't get it,
hmm.
but I don't have interest.
You're not interested. Hmm.
You understand? So there is nothing else that could be built on that. So I can if I have interest and
Hmm.
there is a trainer, then I can develop that skill.
Hmm.
You understand? All
Hmm.
right. So, if there's a child and you just want the guy to be able to play the keyboard or the guitar, and he doesn't have interest, there's nothing you can do.
Hmm.
You can beat him or do that. It's against the law to even do that anyway.
Hmm.
All right. But the point is that you should understand that, oh, once there is no interest, try and find what is he interested in or
That's,
what is this person interested in. Yeah,
that's,
so interest is the first thing
hmm.
um, in embracing the process of skillful practices.
Hmm.
Now, also interest also helps to make um, because the process at some point could be Herculean,
Hmm.
it could be stressful, but
Hmm.
as long as there is interest,
Hmm.
the person will enjoy the process. You understand? The person will enjoy the process because there is interest. So that's the foundation, and possibly that's even the most important thing. Now, aside the interest on that part, on that journey, there's the part of consistency. I mean, there's the part PART of consistency. After interest, just like I said, someone is interested in databases, all right, and the last time you touched SQL, all right, was 6 months ago. Okay, 6 months ago, and the next time is 6 months later. You'll
Mm,
be rusty.
yes.
You'll be rusty, definitely, and that goes to any skill,
Mm,
any skill. So there's got to be consistency of practice. And if one is at the learning stage, there's got to be consistency of learnings.
mm,
Consistency is key.
that's fine.
All right. So I'd mentioned interest, I'd mentioned consistency.
Yes.
Um, what else? Yes, I will also mention, and that should be the third and the last. I'd say um, perseverance.
Mm,
All right. We call it skillful practice. It's a sprint, and it's not a 100-meter dash. It's a sprint.
mm,
At times, in the process of skillful practices, the interest, perseverance, and consistency, or interest, consistency, and perseverance. That's the tripod stand the process depends upon.
mm. Interest, consistency, and perseverance.
Perseverance. Yeah.
Mm. That's really good. Thank you very much for sharing on this. It's really been great time having to discuss this with you today. And when you mentioned the word interest, I was drawn to the story of the man uh, that Jesus Christ gave 1 talent, and at
Yeah.
the end of the day went to bury it.
Mm.
Another one had two, multiplied. Another one had five, it multiplied. Could we say that that one with 1 talent was not interested in?
Apparently,
Hmm,
he wasn't interested in whatever um, intention the
hmm,
master had.
hmm.
Interest. Interest is key in anything
So, and once there is no interest, one cannot be productive.
at all.
Okay.
At all.
Now, and so I'm trying to build something. It's also possible that someone acquired a certificate he or she is not interested in.
Apparently,
Okay. And there is a person who has neglected, who does not have an interest in a course. That same person has not been able to identify his or her skills. And so that same person would probably not be productive.
definitely, sir.
There's somebody who is interested in a course, but has not been able to identify the commensurate skill that is needed. Such may not be as productive as someone who has both.
Exactly.
Hmm. So, sir, in some of these measures, what's the role of goal setting? How does goal setting has a plays a factor in our discussion today beyond credentials? Setting goals probably for developing my skills. I have the interest. I decide to be consistent. I'm ready to persevere. And thus goal setting has a role.
Definitely, sir.
Okay.
After interest,
Mm,
to navigate through um the the qualities or the points of perseverance and consistency,
mm,
to navigate those 2 points, there
mm,
has to be a goal
mm,
or goals.
mm.
All right, because there's really no need for a goal for interest.
That's fine.
Interest is the first step.
Mm,
All right, so but if you have interest and you don't have a goal, you
mm.
won't achieve anything.
Beautiful.
All right, because the goal, part of what makes a goal is that it is specific,
Mm-hmm.
it is measurable.
Mm.
All right, it is what's the here now? All right, it
Actionable.
is, sir?
I said actionable.
Yes, it's actionable.
Yes.
All
It's
right,
realistic.
it is realistic and
Mm,
it is time bound.
yes,
So what makes a goal is that it is smart.
that's fine.
And I think that's why we are even in smart age now. All right, on a lighter note.
Yeah,
All
that's a good one.
right. All right. So if you have interest and there's no goal,
Mm,
nothing. For
mm,
instance, let's say like my mother wanted me to know how to play the organ. Let's
mm,
say I have a twin bro
mm,
who has interest, who
mm,
was interested,
mm,
and he started learning it. Now, if there was no goal,
mm,
if you have a goal, something, okay, I want to achieve this, that's by this time, with is it possible? It is possible, and I want to be able to play at probably Handel's. I want to be able to play Handel's piece or Beethoven's piece by this time, by this time. You understand? Now that's the goal.
mm,
So there's something driving that interest.
mm, mm,
Now, assuming that there is no goal, there will be nothing that is driving that interest, and as such, there will be no need for perseverance and consistency. So
mm,
what brings in perseverance and consistency is because there is a target, there is a goal
mm,
that you have to achieve. You have to within a time, and it is realistic, and you can measure it per time. You are measuring it. Okay, how much have I? How close am I? How much have I achieved? How much do I still need to get done? All right, because there is a goal, I will know. Okay, I have to put in 7 hours instead of 4.
mm.
If there is no goal, I could put in 2 hours and I'll be done for the day.
That's fine.
You understand? So now when I've done 4 hours, and because there is a goal, I will persevere for another 3 hours.
Mm,
So that's what I said. Setting a goal is key in the part of skillful practice. All right, it's key because apparently that's what will make participants. So that's what makes the the skillful practice what it is, the goal,
excellent.
and it's very important.
Thank you very much. So there's no way we would share about beyond credentials today, talking about skillful practices that will not mention what are some of those skills that you recommend that people should have at such a time as this.
Okay. I'm sure I am permitted under God
Mm,
to make mention of this, and it's possible. It's not the first time I'm mentioning it, but the first time I'm mentioning it to the world.
mm,
Some three or some Yeah, I should be some 3 years back.
mm,
About 3 years back, um, I was hearing in my ear.
mm,
That's how that's how I hear God.
mm,
That's how I hear God. I hear God directly in my ears. And there's no doubt about it. I was hearing clearly in my ear that the future of work.
mm,
I didn't read this anywhere. I didn't, no, it's not, I heard it personally in my ear that the future of work is beyond words.
mm,
And for me, I think I had that over some 3 or 4 months in my hair,
Wow.
and some 2 years thereabouts, 2.5 years now.
Mm.
That's what I've been running with.
Wow.
Now, the fact is that the day's work environment is beyond the four walls. Apparently, post the COVID-19 pandemic, you see a couple of organizations either working 100% remote
Yes.
or hybrid.
Yes.
All right, and that gives cognizance to the fact that it is true that the future of the work environment is beyond the four walls
Mm.
and of any organization or institutions.
Mm.
I have, I have, there are many teams, all
Mm.
right, that in fact, I watch the channel on YouTube whereby it's a choral group,
Mm. Then-
about 25 thereabouts,
Yeah.
all right, and they are all connected via Zoom, and they
Yes.
are singing um classical music.
Wow.
Yes. And they, fortunately, funnily enough, they've been doing this for, I think, around 3 years thereabouts. And they've
Wow.
been consistent. Every week, there's a piece that they put up on YouTube.
Wow.
That's just even to say that we can sing together,
Mm.
all right, in a choral group,
Mm.
just like we do in a church auditorium on a Saturday or on a Sunday service.
Mm.
All right, so that's the future. And the same thing, work environment. Even in academic institutions, there are a number of academic institutions, all right, where people run doctoral degrees or even master's degrees without stepping a foot in the
Straight.
institution.
Yes.
All right, that's the future.
Mm.
Now, it's already, that's the reality in some places at the moment. In
Mm.
another 10, 15 years, that's the future.
That's true.
That will be the current day reality.
Mm.
I'm driving somewhere.
That's
All
fine.
right. Yeah. The same thing. I've established that in the university environment. I mean, because I've had people, someone who live and stays in Australia, studying in England.
Mm.
All right. Did all the course work online. Did the doctoral viva right there on Zoom
Mm.
from Australia. All
Mm.
right, from Mexico, anywhere else.
Despite the time difference.
Definitely, definitely. So that's the reality in some places today. And
Mm.
I am confident that in another 10, 15 years, it will be the reality or probably all the world round.
Mm.
That's one. Now, in the same thing in the work environment, um, it's also the reality in some places.
Mm.
In many organizations work on Slack.
Yes.
That's their physical office, not
Yeah.
physical. All
Yeah.
right. But that's the office. Everybody comes in online every day, and you are online just like you are seated in your cubicle in
Yes.
the organization. All
Mm.
right. So that's to say that the first thing basically is normal um soft skills, human related soft skills in
Mm.
terms of empathy. All
Mm.
right, because if you are very brilliant and you don't have empathy, you will soon lose touch with reality.
Mm.
All right, so we'll talk. We first of all have to make mention of that, irrespective whether you're working within the walls of an organization or outside the walls. All right, or within imaginary walls, because there's still a wall actually.
That's fine.
For instance, the guys working together on Slack, there is an imaginary wall,
That's true.
just that it is not a physical wall that you have to knock the door before you enter someone's office.
That's fine.
Okay. So, but the wall here, you have to slide into someone's DM to say,
Mm.
"Hi, can you
Mm.
help me check out this
Mm.
invoice and all that?"
Mm.
Okay. Now that's that. So the future of work is beyond physical walls,
That's fine.
but within imaginary walls.
Mm.
Within digital walls.
Mm.
irrespective of the continent, irrespective of the location. And that's what I do today.
Mm.
I work within imaginary world.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Okay. Now, the skills of if the if if we are working within imaginary worlds, I'm very sure that we are going to agree that the skills that are needed for working within the physical worlds are apparently going to be different and are different from the skills that are needed within imaginary worlds.
That's true.
For instance, um, the skills of empathy, all right, there could be some common denominator anyway. Empathy is needed whether you're working or you are exercising your skill within imaginary or physical worlds.
That's true.
Empathy is essential.
Mm.
um Consistency is also a skill. Perseverance, like I mentioned the other time, these ones also are skills. Human relations are
Mm.
skills. All right. Timeliness,
Mm.
yes, they are skills. All right. And all these are very important um, in any place, any work, in any field, in any career path, whatsoever. But in order, if we want to, summarily, if we want to work the 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 work of the future,
Mm.
I will make mention of some 20 years back. 20 years should be this 2024, 20
That's
years with 2004.
beautiful.
Okay. Will that be correct? Yes, between sometime around 1990, the late 90s,
Okay.
stroke the early 20s, very early 20s. Yes, I could recall that it was around 2000 and 2003 that um, personal computers started getting some bits common. All
Mm.
right. So late 90s and very early the 20th century, there were typewriters.
Mm.
You need to be skillful to be able to use a typewriter.
That's true.
Yes or true? All right. Today, as far back as 10, 15 years ago, that skill is obsolete. If you have
Mm.
a typewriter in your house, in your organization now, it's definitely going to be in the museum. Anyone has only that skill. All right. So if anyone has only that skill
Mm.
of typewriting, the person will either have been retired
Mm.
or be redundant.
That's true.
And if you are redundant over a period of time,
Mm.
you should be shown the way out.
Yes.
All right. So the same way, in terms of career and productivity, today one should learn what are the skills of tomorrow,
Mm.
not just the skills of today. Because in fact, the world is moving faster than it was moving in the 90s.
Mm.
In the 90s, um, we cannot have this interview this way. If you want to interview me, you have to write a letter and send it by post, and then I will respond, and then I will send it back to you. It will take 3 months.
Mm.
You
Mm.
understand?
Mm.
In this age, in real time,
Mm.
we are reaching ourselves.
Mm.
And in another 10 years, in another decade, it will
Mm.
be faster than this.
That's true.
So, in other words, aside the usual soft skills,
Mm.
it's important that one gets takes note of what are the skills of the future, so that the charge will not be like the case of the typist.
Mm.
All right, all right. So if the typist saw what will happen in by 2004, by 2010, it will quickly go to a computer school.
Mm.
And around 2000, yeah, 2000, 2002, 2004, there were an influx of computer schools
Mm.
and cyber cafes.
Mm.
15 years later, as far back as from 5 years. Currently, today, you can't see a cyber cafe again.
mm,
Why? Because everybody has a cyber cafe on their phone.
mm,
You understand?
mhm.
So the skills of the future, I would say, it begins from automation. All right. When I'm saying that in another while, our mode of communication will be faster than the way it is right now. Oh, and if you're talking about automation, we're talking about Python program, I mean coding languages like Python, like um, Python is the most common now. Tomorrow there could be another one. I remember when I was doing my master's program, we were using R at the time.
Mm,
And our HOD he had his PhD from South Africa,
mm,
and he used Python
mm.
South Africa as 2005. And we were like, Python, is that's a snake now. You understand? Now, um, people make millions just Python today.
Python, yes.
Make millions with
Mm,
Python.
mm.
Now, someone if our HOD that was he had his PhD in 2005 thereabouts. All right, no, 2010. This
Okay.
was 2013.
Mm,
That I was referring to 2013, 2014. Now, at that time, over here in Nigeria, Python was not yet. So it was because of the exposure he had in South Africa that he was quickly accosted with Python.
mm,
Now, if anyone had learned that at that time,
mm.
today the person would be a top don.
Agree
Would
with
be
you.
a don. You understand? So that's the point. Those are skills that one needs to develop and keep updated, um, keep himself updated about. We're talking about analytics skills. Now, I'm trying to mention skills that beyond your certificate,
Mm,
you can, if you have the interest, you can train and be trained,
mm,
all right, and be productive uh, on it as a path to greatness.
mm,
I mentioned earlier on this call of someone who studied engineering and then is a don in Excel,
mm,
using Excel sheets.
mm,
All right. So those are skills that one should
mm.
get for the future. All
That's
right, because the future of work is beyond walls, is
mm,
beyond physical walls,
mm,
but within imaginary walls.
mm,
All right. You see, one could also take interest in virtual reality. You see in most top um football clubs today, they measure the science, they've brought science into sports.
that's fine.
All right. And there are people who are behind these things, 3D modeling, animation,
Mm,
computer vision. These are things that you don't necessarily have to go, you have to study
mm,
a course in computer science.
mm,
I'm a I'm a statistician and a data analyst.
mm,
But in fact, what motivates me the most is that I see people who did not know statistics, and they are doing very well in analytics.
mm,
I'm wondering, wow, I should be above these guys
mm,
because they didn't know the theory. They
mm,
just know the skill, they have the tool, and they learned how to use the tool, and they are getting the job done.
mm,
My advantage is that I know the theory.
mm,
You can go on Excel and do average and standard deviation, but you cannot explain how it came out. How the guy cannot explain how it came about.
mm,
All right. Although in the business world, they don't care about how it came about. It's
mm.
the academic that needs to know how it came about.
That's true.
But for the businessman, Dangote only cares about profit.
Mm,
You understand? So he does not care about. So what do you divide to
mm,
to get this? So that's the case. All
mm,
right. Those are, and I want to put emphasis on writing,
mm,
and probably that's another skill I'm going to emphasize on. All right. Because I've seen people making a good life from
mm.
writing,
That's true.
and writing is 1 million kilometers wide, if there's
Mm,
anything like that.
mm,
You could be a lawyer if
mm,
you have the skill of writing. All
mm,
right, you will know how to write cases.
mm,
Someone was accused, so during the last general elections in Nigeria,
mm,
someone someone accused someone as having right having written the judgment for the
mm,
judges.
mm,
Now, sir, tell me, if the guy is not good in writing,
mm.
whether he did or not, I don't know. But
Yes.
I'm just using, and I'm just saying that
Mm,
even if he was to do it, let's assume he did it. If he's not good in writing, will he be made to write the judgment for the judges?
I know.
Definitely no.
Mm,
There is no, I want to say that whatsoever cause anybody's studies,
mm,
if you, you can develop the skill of writing,
mm.
you're on the path to greatness.
Beautiful.
On the path to greatness, because there is just too many, there's just a wide space for writing. There is
That's fine.
SEO writing.
Mm, yeah.
There is SEO writing
Mm,
for web.
mm,
There is copywriting for
mm,
the salespeople,
mm,
for someone who has a product, and they for organizations that need to advertise. The
mm,
person who writes their advert is a copywriter.
mm,
All right. There are fiction stories writers.
mm,
There are non-fiction writers. There
mm,
are academics as writers.
mm,
All right. There is no field you belong to. Even artists, musical artists. There's most of them do not write their songs.
mm,
Someone wrote it for them.
mm.
Someone who has the skill of writing but does not have the skill of singing.
Singing.
All right. Can write and then get his own pay
Mm,
for it. So that's one of the skills that had been from time
that's fine.
and will never expire
That's fine.
through time.
Mm,
Never.
mm,
But it could only need to be modified if
that's
you
fine.
are a UI UX writer, for instance. You definitely have to any aspect or area of writing, you have to keep learning, keep up to date. So those are the skills I could apparently make mention of, just some of them. There is project management, there is social media marketing. These are skills beyond academic credentials. Not And also I should emphasize that um, not negating the place of academic credentials or
Fine.
academics. All
That's
right, but we are saying that if you have, I made mention of a lawyer who can write.
mm,
Same way, a medical doctor
mm,
who make millions from blogging by
mm,
writing things that could educate people about probably washing their teeth. That's a dentist. Cleaning how to clean the teeth, and I mean different things because people write.
mm.
All right. Um, Anybody. So that's the future. My emphasis is that if we are going to work within a work environment, if you are going to live within a work environment that is beyond physical walls,
Yes.
then you have skills that will go beyond physical walls.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you very much for that, and thank you very much for sharing your insights on our subjects today. You have really emphasized the goal of this discussion. However, someone is out there listening to us who really does not know what to do. and seek that, oh, I wish you can just encourage me. I wish you can just tell me something else. I wish you can just uh, make me do that thing I desire to do. What would be your word of encouragement to such as parting words for today?
Okay, the main thing I would say to such a person is to reach out, reach out, not to me, probably not to me. Reach out to, there is always someone. One of the things, um, one of my own secrets of success and what had kept me on the path of success and on the path of greatness and to greater pedestal of greatness
Mm,
is that I'm open to learning.
that's fine.
I in my area and in my area of in my skill of interest, all right, and my area of work,
Mm,
everybody who is doing well in that field, I'm following them.
that's fine.
All right, I'm following them. If there is a course,
Mm,
I invest money
that's fine.
training.
Mm,
You see now talking about skills and skillful practices. Someone goes to university for 4 years
mm,
and pays school fees for
yes.
you want to you want to achieve greatness and you know you have to be skillful, you have to learn.
Mm,
And if you're going to learn, you should pay.
mm,
Now, depending on what, the
mm,
payments might not necessarily be money,
mm.
but there's got to be a payment. Let me say probably one of the reasons why I did not take so much interest in learning organ when my mother wanted me to learn organ was because it was free of charge. Probably, probably. All right, because the person who's, who was training me enjoyed doing that. So it
Wow.
wasn't a charge.
Mm,
All right. So after church, we had to wait in church after church for evening service.
mm.
So between the end of morning, because our house was quite far from the church, so between the end of the morning service and the evening service by 5, so we stay in the organ cubicle to learn. But the guy is not did not charge us, so maybe that's why I didn't take it serious, And today now I wish I know how to do that, although I
Yeah.
could still. All right, because at least I would love to just be doing that in the corner of my room, just like you do. All right, so I'm saying that the person should invest in knowledge
Mm,
from the people who have results. And
mm.
that's why I say reach out.
Reach out.
Reach out to people in that area, reach out to people in that field, reach
Mm,
out to people in that sphere
mm.
as much as you could reach out to. If you cannot reach them personally, follow their footprints online.
That's fine.
If they are doing well, they will definitely have some footprints.
That's fine.
Follow them. You will learn some percentage of what you could learn from them.
Mm,
And you see, eventually, when you have opportunity of getting personal with them, whether physically or online, if
mm,
you have been following their blueprint, it will show from how you converse.
mm.
And when they discover that, oh, this person has been following me, has been learning from me, they will give whatever they. I'm saying that what had brought me here is learning
That's fine.
from those, and I invest in trainings. I
Mm,
invest in training at the level I can afford.
that's fine. That's
Time
fine.
at the level I can afford per time. So you won't go for a training of $1 million, I mean $1 million when you don't have that capacity yet.
Mm,
But if your capacity is if I mean something worth of 30K at the time, that's what you could afford. Just get it,
that's true.
learn it. All right. Knowledge is expensive.
Mm,
In those days they used to say that if you say knowledge is expensive, that you should try ignorance. You
mm,
will find out that over time, ignorance is more expensive than knowledge. All right. So I'll just the single sentence is that the person should reach out for knowledge from the people who have results. in that field.
Thank you very much. We are grateful for your time and expertise in sharing your thoughts on
Okay.
this important discussion today, beyond credentials. I know someone who is listening to us must have picked one or two things on what they need
Yeah.
to do to build their capacity. Uh, and I know that as people listen to this, they would share one or two testimonies of how what you have shared with us today has encouraged them and has made them to see beyond their credentials into utilizing the potentials, the skills that God has deposited in them. You made us understand that we are not saying no to certificates.
Yeah. Yeah.
The certificate is still the door opener, but the skills you acquire is one or two things that will sustain you on the job, that will promote you on the job, that will enhance your capacity on the job, and many more. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing this thought with us today. And we know that subsequently, when we beckon on you to come on this program, you'll be available again. Uh,
Definitely. I get
this
you.
is my friend and brother, Oladipupo Ojeola,
We
the
thank God.
husband of just one wife.
I'm telling you, my brother. We thank the Lord.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank
around, sir.
you.
Yeah,
I really appreciate this
yeah.
opportunity and I do not take it for granted.
Thank you.